Okay, um, this is my traumatized brain, and I'm going live tonight. I think I scheduled this to go live later. I don't know. I'm just playing around with this computer, to be honest. Anyway, I'm going to talk about trauma. I titled this video Trauma Next Door. The reason I titled this Next Door because basically trauma could be any place. And you don't necessarily have to go to war because I think in the book, I brought the book tonight. The book basically talks about, people thought you had to go to war in order to, have serious trauma. But now they've found out that, you can have trauma just being, you know, at the house. So being next door, you can have trauma. So trauma affects the person who's, you know, being immediately affected by the trauma, but it's also affecting the people that are around the person. So, like domestic violence, um, if the parents are having an issue, so that's affecting the kids. So the kids are also now having the issues. Like long time ago, people would say, don't do this or don't do that in front of the kids. Um, but still, I think the kids kind of know still what's kind of going on. So, so basically, at the point in the front of this book, what I'm talking about is exactly what is trauma, and trauma is bad things that happen that your mind can't seem to deal with, and it sort of pushes it away to the side, and you know, sort of cope with it a different way. Uh, Children sort of make up, an escape mechanism, or adults sort of push it down to the side. But the issue with that, according to Dr. Um, Vander Kolk, is that the brain has a way underneath to bring it up. So it doesn't stay in denial. You don't stay in denial. You sort of, uh, the brain keeps pushing it to the top. So at some point you have to deal with it. So um, if your trauma continues to happen all the time, then it can develop into PTSD. And then there's some other mechanisms that you could possibly develop into that I'll have to go into later. But basically, there's a response that happens that he talks about. The stress hormones go into your body, and then your body react to that stress hormone. And then I'm going to kind of quote him today, and the quote for today is, I'm going to read it. I wrote down. I quote Dr. Vander Kolk. He says, "Feeling out of control, survivors of trauma after um, afterwards begin to fear that they are damaged to the core and beyond redemption." That's what he quotes um, in the book. So that's basically all I really have to talk about, because I want to sort of keep it short and sweet so that, it's kind of understandable. So basically, what I want to talk about is that trauma is next door. You don't have to go to war to experience trauma. Trauma affects the person who is, at the end of the trauma, but it affects all the people that are also in the mix of that. And the example that I gave was like domestic violence, that if the parents are into it, yelling and screaming, or um, somebody's receiving physical abuse, that the children are also now being affected by the trauma, and that can result in um, long-term um, relationship issues or whatever, may come about, but problems for them. So now the parents have compounded the problem, um, their problem, onto the next generation, which in the Christian world, we would say, um, a generational curse. You've taken your problems and given it to your children. Now your children have to deal with that issue, and so on and so on. Because I believe in God, so I have a Christian point of view to some of this, in addition to the science part that the doctor has about this book, and then talked about, trauma is things that happen to you beyond your control, and your mind can't really deal with it, so it pushes it to the side, and or you push it to the side, or it pushes it to the side because you just can't deal with it. But then it keeps coming back up to the point that you have to deal with it. And then I talked about a little bit about what your body does at PTSD, or you disassociate because you can't deal with it, and how stress hormones, come into your body. Um, you sort of go into a fight or flight response. And then I quoted him, um, one quote that he said in his book that I thought was really important, that feeling out of control, survivors of trauma often begin to fear that they are damaged to the core and beyond redemption, and that you could possibly start feeling like that. But I just want you to know that that's not true, and the devil is a lie, because there is hope. Um, my favorite scripture, or one of them, is weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning, meaning that you got one more day to um, figure out a little piece of this puzzle and to feel better um, the next day. And God will show you a little bit more, whether it's reading a book, talking to a friend, talking to a counselor, reaching out to somebody that could give you a baby step to continue the journey. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will make another video when I'm up to talking about something. I don't think I have any personal stuff to talk about today, but I'm going to continue to read the book and make another short video. So thank you for your time. And like I say, if you have anything to um, say, leave me a comment, or um, send me a message or something. I don't have a good schedule, which would probably be a good idea, so you can like know when I'm going to come online, because I'm not consistent like that right now, but maybe one day I will be. So anyway, I will check in with you all later with the next section of the book that I want to talk about. And so no one, um, well, I think there probably are some people who don't go through life without trauma, but I think majority of us have had some trauma, and then I think there's maybe different levels of trauma. Some people who have gone to war, and maybe that have had um, that's been brutally raped or uh, beaten, domestic violence, or years of abuse, um, battered women, uh, child molestation, and such, that um, that's just, very traumatizing. That but I still believe that there there's recovery, and there's still things that you can do that can help keep you um, willing to survive and live for the next day. Okay, well, I'll be praying for you, and I will talk to you later.